Part 6. The Final Bell in the Cursed Town. Lydia trembled as she forced herself to stand. Her legs shook beneath her, as though they no longer belonged to her. She finally understood the rule of this house. When it deceives someone into believing its illusion, it devours their soul and escapes into the night to hunt again during the festival. But if it fails, if the victim does not fall for its trick, it becomes trapped in its own decaying darkness forever. Now, because Lydia had not succumbed, the door of house number 31 closed in silence. Inside, everything returned to its deathly stillness, as though the house had been abandoned for centuries. Lydia shuddered. The blur between truth and lies had ended, but the price was unbearable. The real Hannah was gone forever, her death a chilling testament to the warning that had been written in blood. Rule number 5, engraved into this night, with lives lost and crimson sacrifice. She dragged herself down the main street, each step heavy as though invisible stones were tied to her feet. Ever since escaping house number 31, her body hadn't stopped trembling, as if part of her soul was still imprisoned behind that door. Her breath came out in pale white clouds, dissolving into the thick, suffocating night. Then came the sound, deep, resonant, metallic, the church bell. It echoed through the fog, rebounding off moldy rooftops and crumbling walls. Lydia froze as the words from the old paper resurfaced in her mind. Rule number 7. When the church bell tolls for the last time, leave immediately. Do not stay. After the final bell, this town no longer belongs to the living. A cold shiver crawled up her spine. The bell had rung many times already, and Lydia could feel that the final chime was near. But where could she go? Every street looked the same. The town had no exit anymore, no path for the living. A sharp gust swept past, carrying the stench of decay, sour, metallic, and putrid, like corpses dug up after too long underground. The colorful festival flags lining the main street fluttered wildly, then began to chanahy before Lydia's eyes. Their bright colors faded, rotted, and stained. Within seconds, they sagged into heavy black ribbons, dripping with dark, dried blood that streaked down like tears. The laughter stopped. The music died. Silence fell. A suffocating, absolute silence. The masked townspeople on the street all turned toward Lydia. In eerie unison, they lifted their masks. Beneath them were not human faces, only hollow eye sockets, cracked skulls, and rotting skin oozing thick black fluid that shimmered faintly in the dying pumpkin light. Lydia's heart pounded violently. Her instincts screamed. She stumbled backward, then turned and ran. In her memory, there was still one path, the same road she and her friends had taken when they first entered the town. But when she reached the end of the street, there was only fog, thick, solid, impenetrable, like a wall. Behind it, massive dark figures stood silently, unmoving. Their presence alone was enough to crush the air from her lungs. Behind her came footsteps, at first slow, uneven, then faster, louder. They no longer sounded human, more like dry wooden joints, snapping and clattering. The masked figures were moving, jerking, twitching, like lifeless puppets dragged by invisible strings, closer and closer. Lydia darted into a narrow alleyway. Just then, the bell rang again. The deep sound vibrated through the walls, freezing her in place. And in that instant, she noticed something. Whenever the bell tolled, The townspeople stopped too. Their bodies stiffened, locked in place as if crushed beneath the weight of the sound. A chance, a rhythm to survive. Lydia began counting each toll, using the pauses between them to move, ducking through shadows, turning corners, slipping between walls. She pressed her back to the cold bricks, gasping, her heartbeat loud in her ears, seizing every breath of silence between the chimes to advance. At the far end of the street, she saw it. The church. The rusty iron gate stood ajar, darkness yawning beyond it like an abyss. The bell's sound didn't come from the tower above, but from deep inside. As though the darkness itself was ringing, Lydia froze, her throat tightened. This could be the way out, or the final trap. From the church wall, black smoke began to leak, coiling and twisting into the shape of a man. Slowly, the wrinkled face of the old man who had given her the paper emerged. But his eyes were gone, replaced by two endless pits that swallowed all light. His voice was brittle, rasping, like dead leaves grinding together. The bell will ring one last time. Leave or stay with us. Lydia clenched her fists so tightly that her nails dug deep into her skin, drawing blood. The sharp pain kept her conscious. She knew there was no other choice left. Biting her lip until it bled, Lydia hurled herself toward the church gate. The freezing air sliced through her body like she was passing through a curtain made of ice and ashes. The final bell tolled. Its sound was heavy, like iron chains tightening around her soul, dragging the entire town into darkness. Behind her, every single villager turned their heads toward Lydia. From their hollow sockets, a pale, eerie glow ignited. Their footsteps began, slow at first, then faster, heavier, surging forward like a violent tide. Gritting her teeth, Lydia forced every ounce of strength left in her trembling legs. She dashed through the doorway. The moment her body crossed the threshold, the church doors slammed shut with a deafening thud that shook the entire hall. Darkness fell instantly, thick, suffocating, viscous like black water. Inside the cold sanctuary, the pews were rotted and toppled over. The air reeked of damp wood and mold. At the far end of the church, deep within the shadows, there was only one point of light. A slender crack in a wooden door. Through it, a pale, silver light seeped in, like the cold finger of the moon pointing the way. Lydia's breath came in ragged bursts, her heartbeat erratic. She bolted toward it, using the last of her strength to shove the door. It flew open with a drawn-out metallic screech, like steel claws dragging across stone. Light flooded in, blinding her. Lydia squeezed her eyes shut, staggering forward. When her vision returned, she froze in disbelief. Before her lay a barren dirt road under a faint dawn sky. No more festival music, no more fluttering flags, not a single soul in sight. Instead, a ruined town, crumbling houses, decayed walls, overgrown weeds blanketing everything beneath a thick layer of dust. As though decades had passed in an instant, Lydia turned around. Where the church had stood moments ago, there was nothing, only empty air. It had vanished, erased, as if it had never existed. She trembled, gasping for breath, and staggered toward the road leading to the fields. Each step felt like dragging a dead weight. Between broken breaths, she murmured, voice cracking, "I made it out. I'm free." But then, a sound, a single metallic clang. The bell. Lydia froze, Her heart was gripped by an invisible hand. The sound wasn't coming from afar this time. It was echoing inside her chest, resonating through her ribs, each chime pounding straight into her bones. She clutched her chest and collapsed to her knees, gasping. The world around her began to warp. The ruined houses trembled, distorted, and from the cracked walls, shadows began to emerge. Empty eye sockets, cracked faces. The villagers had returned, this time standing motionless, their hollow gazes fixed on her. A freezing chill raced down her spine. Lydia trembled violently, trying to step back, but her body grew unbearably heavy, as if chained in place by the sound of the bell. Then, carried by the wind, an old piece of paper fluttered to her feet. Hands shaking, Lydia bent down. It was the same paper of rules the old man had given her, but beneath the familiar words of rule number 7, there was now a new line, written in fresh crimson, still wet, as if drawn in blood. Rule number 8. When the bell tolls within your heart, it means you now belong to this place. Lydia's eyes widened, her breath hitched. The bell continued to ring, each echo another chain tightening around her soul, binding her to the cursed town. The mist rolled in again, dense, swirling, devouring the pale morning light. And when it finally cleared, the dirt road was empty. Lydia was gone. Only the old paper remained, lying still where she once stood, slowly dissolving, until it merged with the eternal fog.